El Salvador, a small nation nestled in Central America. For decades, it has been known for its stunning landscapes and warm people. But beneath this beauty lies a dark undercurrent. Gangs with names like MS-13 and Barrio 18 have sunk their claws deep into the country. Extortion, violence, murder. These are the realities for many Salvadorans. The government, desperate for solutions, has launched an all-out war. President Nayib Bukele, young and media-savvy, has pledged to crush the gangs. His method? An iron fist. Tens of thousands have been swept up in mass arrests, often on flimsy evidence. Guilty until proven innocent seems to be the operating principle. To house this human flood, a mega prison, CECOT, has been constructed. A concrete behemoth, it stands as a chilling symbol of this crackdown. The Bukele government understands the power of spectacle. The transfer of prisoners to CECOT wasn't just a logistical exercise, it was theatre. Thousands of men, stripped to their underwear, hands bound, were paraded before cameras. The message was clear. This is what happens to those who cross the state. Humiliation, it seems, is as potent a weapon as any gun. The crackdown extends beyond flesh and bone. It targets memory itself. Cemeteries, resting places for generations, are not immune. Gang-related tombstones are being destroyed, erased from existence. For families of the deceased, this is a double blow. First, they lost loved ones to violence. Now the state seeks to erase even their memory. Section 5. Living in fear. Aggressive policing and its toll. Life under the crackdown is one of constant fear. Police and military units, emboldened and with little oversight, conduct raids, often without warrants. Homes are invaded, citizens harassed. The line between fighting crime and state-sanctioned terror becomes blurred. Reports of human rights abuses abound. Arbitrary arrests, torture, disappearances. The very people meant to be protected are now living in fear. Section 6. A chorus of condemnation, international criticism and domestic dissent. The world is watching and it doesn't like what it sees. International news outlets are abuzz with reports on the situation in El Salvador, from the Americas to Europe, Asia to Africa. The global community is increasingly vocal about the human rights abuses taking place. News anchors discuss the implications, analysts weigh in on the potential fallout, and ordinary people express their outrage on social media platforms. Human rights groups from Amnesty International to Human Rights Watch have condemned El Salvador's methods. These organizations have issued detailed reports highlighting the systematic violations of human rights. Press conferences are held, statements are released, and the call for action grows louder. They demand accountability, justice, and an immediate end to the oppressive measures. They point to the erosion of due process, the lack of transparency, the culture of impunity. Legal experts from around the world are weighing in, offering their analyses and condemning the blatant disregard for the rule of law. Courtrooms in El Salvador are scenes of tension and drama as the judiciary faces immense pressure to uphold justice amidst a climate of fear and repression. Within El Salvador, brave voices rise in protest. Families of the disappeared human rights defenders and ordinary citizens. They risk their safety to denounce the crackdown. These individuals gather in public squares, holding pictures of their loved ones, chanting for justice and demanding answers. Their courage is a beacon of hope in a dark time. Ordinary citizens, they risk their safety to denounce the crackdown. Interviews with local dissenters reveal the depth of their resolve and the personal cost of their activism. Marching with banners, they call for an end to the violence and for the restoration of their rights. Their voices, though often silenced, resonate with a powerful message. The fight for justice and human dignity continues, no matter the obstacles. Section 7. A government's narrative, security at what cost? The Bukele government, for its part, remains defiant. They stand firm in their belief that their approach is the only way to restore order in a country long plagued by violence and instability. President Bukele, a charismatic and controversial figure, has become the face of this aggressive campaign against crime. His speeches are filled with promises of safety and prosperity, resonating with a population tired of living in fear. They point to a decrease in crime, a return to some semblance of order. Statistics show a significant drop in homicides and other violent crimes, which the government attributes to their hardline policies. Communities that were once no-go zones are now seeing a resurgence of normalcy, with children playing in the streets and businesses reopening. The sense of relief among the populace is palpable. They argue that desperate times call for desperate measures. The sight of militarized police and armed forces patrolling neighborhoods has become a common one. Raids and arrests are frequent, and the government insists that these actions are necessary to root out the deeply entrenched criminal elements. Critics, however, argue that such measures are excessive and infringe on civil liberties. Social media becomes their battleground, where they control the narrative, trumpet their successes, and demonize their critics. President Bukele and his administration are adept at using platforms like Twitter and Facebook to communicate directly with the public. They share images of captured gang members, seized weapons, and community events, painting a picture of a government in control. At the same time, they dismiss dissenting voices as enemies of progress. But the question lingers: can true peace be built on a foundation of fear and repression? While the streets may be quieter and the crime rates lower, the heavy-handed tactics have left many feeling uneasy. The fear of arbitrary detention and the erosion of personal freedoms weigh heavily on the minds of the citizens. As the government continues its campaign, the debate over the cost of security versus the value of freedom remains unresolved. Section 8. A Potemkin pageant, the Miss Universe facade. In a move that can only be described as surreal, El Salvador hosted the Miss Universe pageant. Millions were poured into the event, a glittering spectacle designed to showcase a new El Salvador. But the juxtaposition was jarring. Behind the smiles and the swimsuits, the crackdown continued. The pageant, it seemed, was a Potemkin village, a facade constructed to hide a darker reality. Section 9. A legacy of uncertainty, effectiveness, ethics, and the future. The war on gangs in El Salvador is a story with no easy answers. It is a complex narrative woven with threads of violence, hope, despair, and resilience. The government's aggressive stance against gangs has been both lauded and criticized, creating a dichotomy that is hard to reconcile. Has it made the country safer? On the surface, the streets may seem quieter, and the crime rates might show a decline. But beneath this veneer of calm lies a deeper, more troubling reality, in the short term perhaps, but at what cost? The aggressive tactics employed have led to numerous arrests and a significant reduction in gang activities. However, these measures have also sparked a debate about the ethical implications of such a hardline approach. The erosion of human rights, the silencing of dissent, and the suppression of freedom are significant concerns. Critics argue that the government's methods have trampled on the very principles of justice and democracy that they claim to protect. The creation of a climate of fear, where citizens are afraid to speak out, where communities are torn apart by suspicion and mistrust, is a heavy price to pay. Families live in constant anxiety, unsure of what the future holds. These are wounds that will take generations to heal. The world watches with a mix of concern and curiosity as El Salvador navigates this turbulent path. International bodies and human rights organizations continue to monitor the situation closely, waiting to see if this experiment in iron-fisted governance will ultimately succeed or fail. Will it bring about lasting peace and stability, or will it deepen the divisions and create a legacy of bitterness and division that will haunt the nation for years to come? The future of El Salvador hangs in the balance, a testament to the complexities of governance, the challenges of maintaining security, and the enduring struggle for human rights and justice. Only time will tell what the ultimate outcome will be.